There are roughly 55 million shipping containers currently circulating the globe. They are the standardized atoms of the modern economy. But here is a secret that keeps the logistics industry up at night. Owning the box is a terrible business model. In fact, over half of the global container fleet isn't even owned by the logistics giants like MSC, CMA-CGM, or Hapag-Lloyd. They are rented. And this rental market is the invisible backbone of global trade. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry that operates in the shadows, ensuring that your Amazon package arrives in 2 days and that a shipping line doesn't go bankrupt every time the holiday shopping season ends. So why do multi-billion-dollar logistics giants prefer to pay rent on a metal box they could easily buy for just $2,500? And who exactly are these invisible landlords collecting the rent? To answer why a company like Hapag-Lloyd would choose to rent, you first have to look at their bank accounts. In the shipping industry, cash is king, and margins are notoriously razor-thin. A modern ultra-large container vessel costs upwards of $200 million to build. To fill that ship just once, you need roughly $50 million worth of containers. If a shipping line buys those containers, that $50 million is locked up. It sits on the balance sheet as a depreciating asset, capital expenditure or CAPEX. It will slowly rust over the next 15 years, earning nothing but maintenance costs. But if they lease those containers, that cost transforms. It moves from CAPEX to OPEX, operating expenditure. Instead of a massive upfront check, it becomes a manageable monthly fee. This keeps that $50 million liquid, allowing the shipping line to buy more ships, upgrade their software, or acquire competitors. But the financial accounting is just the appetizer. The main course, the real reason leasing dominates, is a problem known as trade imbalance. Let's look at the head haul route, Shanghai to Los Angeles. Ships leave China full to the brim with electronics, clothes, and furniture, but the return trip, Los Angeles to Shanghai, is a backhaul. The United States simply does not export enough manufactured volume back to China to fill those ships. It exports heavy things like grains, scrap metal, and paper, but nowhere near the volume of incoming goods. This creates a surplus of empty containers in Los Angeles. If a shipping line owns their containers, they are now responsible for the cardinal sin of logistics, shipping air. They have to load that empty box onto a ship, burn fuel to carry it 6,000 miles back to Asia, and pay port fees to unload it, all while generating exactly $0 in revenue. So sometimes those containers, which travel far inland, are abandoned by the shipping companies. This is where the leasing companies play their ace card, the master lease. A master lease is the ultimate flexibility tool. It allows a shipping line to pick up a container in a surplus area like Shanghai, use it to ship goods to a deficit area like Los Angeles, and then crucially drop it off at the leasing company's depot in LA. Once that box is dropped off, the meter stops. The shipping line washes their hands of it. The problem of moving that empty box back to Asia now belongs to the leasing company. You might wonder, why would a leasing company want to inherit that problem? It's because they have the one thing a shipping line lacks: neutrality. While Maersk might not have a customer in LA needing a box, the leasing company works with everyone. They might have a client who needs a box to ship almonds from California to Vietnam, or auto parts to Japan. By aggregating demand across hundreds of shipping lines, they turn the inefficiency of global trade into a localized rental market. But the leasing market isn't just about simple steel boxes. It gets much more expensive and much more risky when you start moving food and chemicals. About 30% of the leasing market value comes from specialized containers, primarily reefers, refrigerated containers. These aren't just boxes, they are insulated, electrified appliances capable of keeping Chilean blueberries at exactly 34 degrees Fahrenheit while crossing the equator. A standard dry container costs about $2,500. A reefer costs over $6,500. For a shipping line, owning a massive fleet of reefers is dangerous. They require specialized mechanics, spare parts, and constant monitoring. If the cooling unit fails in the middle of the Pacific, the cargo spoils, and the shipping line is liable for millions in damages. Leasing companies like Seco, part of the H&A Group, specialize in this high-maintenance hardware. They take on the risk of ownership. They handle the maintenance lifecycle. They ensure the cooling units are the latest, most energy-efficient models. Shipping lines are more than happy to pay a premium to offload this headache. They rent the reefer for the cherry season in Chile and return it when the season ends, avoiding the cost of storing a $6,500 machine that is doing nothing for 6 months of the year. This leasing market is also monopolized. Just 5 companies control roughly 85% of the leased fleet. The undisputed heavyweight champion is Triton International, with over 30% of leasing container market share. Their scale is their moat. Because they have inventory in almost every port on Earth, they are the first call for any shipping line in a crisis. Trailing them are competitors like Textainer, known for their aggressive resale of old containers to the secondary market, think storage units and construction sites. And Florens. Florens is the wild card. They are the world's second largest lessor, but they are owned by COSCO Shipping, the Chinese state-owned shipping giant. This creates an awkward dynamic where rival shipping lines are essentially renting equipment from a competitor, but often have no choice due to Florens' massive supply. But the real leverage in this industry doesn't just come from owning the boxes, it comes from where the boxes are born. 96% of the world's shipping containers are manufactured in China. 3 Chinese companies, CIMC, DIFC, and CXIC, build almost all of them. This is the China monopoly. You can't just build a shipping container in your garage. It requires Corten steel, a specific weathering alloy, and specialized factories. This manufacturing bottleneck gives the leasing giants immense power. They are the biggest customers of these factories. When supply is tight, Triton and Textainer get the first call. Small shipping lines get sent to the back of the line. The power of this monopoly was proven in 2021, when the system broke. When the pandemic hit, consumer demand for goods exploded. Suddenly, the world needed millions of extra containers. But because of the lockdowns, boxes were stranded inland, stuck in rail yards in Chicago and warehouses in Manchester. The velocity of the container fleet collapsed. Shipping lines were desperate. They needed boxes now. But the Chinese manufacturers didn't just flood the market. They managed supply, keeping prices high. The price to buy a new container jumped from $2,000 to $6,000. The price to ship a box from Shanghai to Rotterdam went from $1,500 to $10,000. This was the moment the leasing companies went from utility providers to kingmakers. Companies like Triton used their massive capital to buy up almost all available production slots in China. They spent billions securing new containers, then turned around and leased them to desperate shipping lines on life cycle leases, locking them into high rates for 5 to 10 years. The shipping lines had no choice. To move cargo at record-breaking spot rates, they had to sign these expensive long-term rental agreements. The crisis eventually ended and shipping rates crashed back down in 2023, but those leases are still valid. The shipping lines are now stuck paying crisis-era rent on containers in a post-crisis world. Today, the industry is pivoting again. We are entering the era of the smart container. For decades, once a container left the port, it was a black hole. Did it arrive? We assume so. Was it opened? We don't know. Now, leasing companies are retrofitting fleets with IoT sensors. These devices track location, temperature, and shock events in real time. The leasing giants are evolving from renting steel to selling data as a service. If you were Apple shipping iPhones, you're not just paying for the box, you're paying for the certainty that your cargo hasn't been tampered with in a rail yard. This data layer makes the leasing companies even stickier. A shipping line might switch suppliers to save 50 cents on rent, but they won't switch if it means losing visibility on where their millions of dollars of cargo actually is. So the next time you are stuck in traffic next to a semi-truck, take a look at the logo on the container. Maybe you're looking at a rental unit, a silent, wandering asset owned by a company that doesn't care what's inside the box or where it's going as long as the rent is paid on time. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.